everyone, welcome to my channel. So I am back today with a video about my top 10 favourite fragrances. Now I actually filmed this video a couple of years ago. I believe it was one of the first videos that I ever filmed and it got quite a good response. So I thought that I would revisit the subject again today. And funnily enough, the 10 fragrances that I've picked now are actually all different to the 10 fragrances that I picked a couple of years ago. So it's quite interesting to see sort of how your taste changes over the years. There's definitely a couple of fragrances that I still love from my previous list, but I haven't included them in this video because I wanted to pick 10 completely different fragrances to my last video and basically just discuss the scent and my thoughts on each individual one. I am by no means an expert in fragrance. I just need to put that out there right now. I just really enjoy fragrance and I love to have a collection of fragrances so I can pick and choose which fragrance I want to wear that day depending on my mood or the time of day or the occasion. So like I did in my previous video, I have researched each fragrance separately and I've actually written down the top, heart and base notes that are in each of the fragrances, just so that you get the correct information about the notes that are in each fragrance. I will be referring to my notes, which I have in a little book on my lap here, and we've got 10 fragrances to get through, so let's get started. So the first fragrance that I picked to talk to you guys about is by Armani Prive, and I have to say this is currently my kind of go-to perfume. I tend to reach for this a lot. And I know that this is a super popular fragrance at the moment and I can kind of see why. It is just beautiful and I think definitely worth the hype. Now I don't know how to pronounce the exact name of this, so what I will do is write everything in the description box down below so you can see exactly which fragrance it is and what it's called. But I can say that this is by Armani Prive, and if I just tell you the notes that are in this perfume, so the top notes are mandarin orange, pink pepper and raspberry. The heart notes are rose essence, May Rose Absolute and peony. And the base notes are amber, musk, patchouli and something else which again I cannot pronounce. And like I said, this really is my current go-to fragrance. It's incredibly light and it's possibly my sort of prettiest fragrance. It's just very feminine, but it's not even sort of as strong as feminine. It's just pretty and very soft. I actually prefer to wear this as a daytime fragrance because for me, I don't feel like it has enough sort of impact or staying power to wear in the evening. For evening fragrances, I prefer to have something slightly stronger, something slightly more intense, and this just, for me, doesn't do that. But as a daytime fragrance, it is just beautiful. I think that it doesn't last brilliantly once you've sprayed it. I actually do spray quite a lot of this onto me because I actually quite like to do that anyway. I like to have quite a lot of fragrance on me, but I do spray quite a lot of this because I find if you don't, you just sort of don't get enough of the smell, so I do tend to spray quite a lot. I feel like the main note that you can smell for sure is the peonies, which I think is probably what makes it just so pretty and fresh and light and lovely. So this for sure is a great fragrance for this time of year when it's getting warmer, and it's just a very easy to wear, very pretty daytime fragrance. So my next fragrance of choice is this one, which is by Narciso Rodriguez, and this I believe is called Narciso Poudree. Again, that doesn't sound like I pronounced that even slightly right. But this is another one in the Narciso collection, and I have to just say, I am a real fan of Narciso Rodriguez perfumes in general. I think I do actually own most of them because every scent that they release I just love, and they're all very different to each other and all quite unique. And so of course when this was released I had to get it because it's another one that I absolutely adore. So if I tell you the notes in this one, The top notes are rose, jasmine and orange blossom. The heart note is musk, and the base notes are vetiver, again I don't know if I pronounced that right, cedar, patchouli and coumarine. The heart note is musk, and this is definitely quite a musky scent, but the overwhelming scent that you do get from this is that it is a powdery scent. Now if you're not into powdery scents, this is definitely not for you, but I would say this is not an offensive powdery scent. It's actually a very sort of clean powdery scent. It's not like really strong sort of baby powder type of scent. It's a very mature powdery scent. It is sort of quite warming, a little bit sort of heady, and I think if you sprayed too much of it, it would be perhaps too intense. But again, for me, this is a great evening fragrance because it is slightly more intense. I wouldn't necessarily wear this all day because I think it may just be a little bit too much, and it could possibly get a little bit sickly if you did wear it all day and through tonight as well. So I do love to use this as an evening fragrance. This is gorgeous, I love it. My next fragrance of choice is by Zarkoperfume, and this is Pink Molecule. Now if I just tell you the notes in this one, the top notes are black elder, apricot, black orchid and champagne, and the base notes are mahogany, whipped cream and black wood. Now this fragrance actually makes me happy. It's so bizarre. The second I smelt this, it just lifted my spirits. It sounds so weird, but I do think that scents do that. They are very good at setting a mood, and this one it's just beautiful. It's very different. I don't have anything else like this in my collection. It's, to me, I feel like it is quite unique. It is so summery and fresh, and I don't know if you can say a fragrance is this, but it is kind of sparkly. It is very girly and also just fun. I really enjoy wearing this fragrance, and when the sun is out, this truly is the perfect fragrance because, like I said, it does just lift your spirits, and it would be lovely to wear this kind of as a wedding fragrance. The only thing I would say is that it doesn't last very well. I find that I do have to sort of keep reapplying it throughout the day. It doesn't have a brilliant staying power, but when I do apply it, I love it so much that I kind of feel like I can get over that because I just think it's so pretty. For a summer wedding, I actually think this would be a very lovely fragrance because also it's just a bit different. It's not one that you hear loads of people wear, so it's nice to have something that's a bit more unique. So again, I really enjoy wearing this one, particularly at this time of year when the sun is shining. My next perfume of choice is this one, which is by Chloe. And I feel like I should just point out quickly about this bottle. The only thing that really bugs me about this perfume is that the top bit here tarnishes really badly, which though it makes it look kind of a little bit more antique-y and vintage, it just bugs me. I wish it kind of kept the really shiny look to it. You could probably clean it, I'm sure you could, but I always forget to, so that's why it looks like that. Moving on to the notes in this perfume. The top notes are freesia, lychee and peony. The heart notes are lily of the valley, magnolia and rose. And the base notes are amber and cedar. So as you can probably tell, there are many a floral note in this perfume. So maybe if you're not into floral perfumes, this one won't be for you. But I would say never rule out a perfume. You have to go and smell them for yourselves because I think they work differently on different people. But for me, this is actually one that I've repurchased recently and I'm so happy that I did. I actually used to wear this fragrance about 10 years ago. And I loved it then, and then I sort of forgot about it, and then I re-smelt it recently and I remembered how much I loved it, and I love it now just as much as I did then. This is a very, very feminine fragrance, really pretty. It is one that when you wear it, again, people do sort of ask what you're wearing because it is just a very pretty fragrance. Definitely another one that I would just use for daytime. For me, it's not intense enough for evening, and I just feel it's quite light, so it's much more appropriate for daytime wear. It's one that I feel actually a lot of people would like because it's just so girly, and another one that I think for the summer months is great probably because of all the floral notes in it, and just because it is very clean and light and a refreshing scent. So that is my Chloe choice. My next choice is an Hermes one. And this one is called Eau de Note. Don't know how to pronounce that, so I will write it in the description box. I will talk to you about the notes that are in this fragrance now. The top notes are orange and lemon, the heart notes are amber, pink pepper, violet and pepper, and the base notes are fir, vetiver, oak, moss and cedar. This is for sure a fragrance that you would love or hate. And it's funny because I have to be in the mood for this perfume. Some days I really am not keen on it. Other days I love it and spray it all over myself and think, yes, this is a great perfume. But I do think that you have to be very much in the mood to wear this. This is probably one of my most masculine fragrances. It definitely does have a masculine edge. I think that's probably because it's got the sort of more woody notes in it. I do think it's quite a warming fragrance. And again, I have worn this in the day, but I actually think that it probably would be more appropriate for evening wear. I do find if you spray too much of it on, it is, in my opinion, a bit too intense. I think you're better off with a few sprays of it and you're good to go. Otherwise, I find, for me, it just is a little bit sickly, but not sickly sweet. Actually, just kind of smelling it now out of the bottle, there is something about it that is quite fresh as well. This is a very different fragrance. I sometimes love it, sometimes really I'm not keen, but when I love it, I think it's a great fragrance. My next one is by Laboratory Perfumes, and this is Amber. Now, I knew I'd like this because I love amber as a scent generally. I like it in perfumes, I like it in candles, I just like it as a scent. So I thought I would probably like this. Now, it looks like I've used hardly any of this, and I will explain the reason for that after, but I will tell you what the notes are in this perfume first. So I couldn't find kind of really specific notes, but I did find somewhere that just said it contains woody notes, ambergris, green notes and spicy notes. Now, the reason why it looks like I haven't used hardly any of this is because this, for me, is probably my strongest perfume. If you spray too much of it, it is way too overwhelming. You just need probably only even one squirt of this and that's it. You're done. I have sprayed a lot of this on and it, for me, was just too much. But just with one pump of it, it is amazing. It's very unique. Again, I have nothing else like this in my fragrance collection. I believe this was actually their first ever fragrance that Laboratory Perfumes released. Something I definitely have noticed about this fragrance is that it changes the longer you wear it. It doesn't necessarily smell like it did when you first sprayed it on. Throughout the day, it does smell different, and I think that's kind of great. That's quite unique. And another thing that I would say about this is probably the longest lasting perfume that I own. If you spray this on your jacket or something, you can smell it for days. It is a very warm scent because of the amber. Something about it slightly fresh, but like I said, it's quite multifaceted. It changes the longer you wear it, so it's quite hard to pin down exactly what this fragrance smells like. I would definitely recommend going to try this. This is my most intense perfume and a great evening one. Love it. My next fragrance is by Bvlgari and this is Eau Tea Vert. Definitely need to brush up on my pronunciation of things. Apologies for that. I will tell you the notes in this fragrance right now. So the top notes are coriander, orange blossom, orange, bergamot, cardamom and lemon. The heart notes are jasmine, lily of the valley and rose. And the base notes are sandalwood, amber, musk, green tea, precious woods and cedar. Now this perfume for me makes me really happy because I remember family holidays to the south of France, and at the hotel that we stayed in, they had this fragrance in pretty much all of the products that they offered in the hotel, and so every time I smell this, it makes me so happy, and so I am really emotionally attached to this fragrance and I'd be really sad to not have this in my collection. I love Bvlgari as a brand anyway. I love their accessories, their bags, their fragrance. I love it. It's such an elegant brand, and so for me, I actually quite like most of their fragrances, but this one I have in my collection because, like I said, it reminds me of a certain time in my life. And this is definitely my freshest and cleanest smelling fragrance. That is pretty much all I can say about this fragrance. It's like when you've just stepped out of the shower, if you spray this on, you could not feel fresher. It's so beautiful. It's quite simple. I don't feel like it's a really fancy fragrance, but it just has that element of making you feel very, very clean. And I adore it for that, so I had to include this because this has been a kind of a long-standing favourite of mine. My next choice is the Chanel No. 5 L'Eau. Now, I will tell you all the notes in this fragrance and then talk a bit more about it. So the top notes are lemon, orange, neroli, aldehydes, bergamot and lime. The heart notes are may, rose, jasmine and ylang-ylang. And the base notes are cedar, white musk, vanilla and orris root. I was very excited when they released this fragrance because I have always been a fan of Chanel No. 5. I think it's, again, another thing that's like an emotional attachment. My grandmother always wore it, and so whenever I think of No. 5 I always think of her, so it's kind of an emotional thing. But I felt a bit like, though I did wear it occasionally, it was too much for me. And when they released this with the concept that it was going to be for a slightly younger market, I was like, yes, amazing, that's exactly what we need. And I have read slightly mixed reviews about this, but I feel like it has done that job really well. I think it has stayed quite true to the original No. 5 fragrance, but it is just slightly lighter. I think it still smells like the original, but it is definitely more appropriate for the younger market. So I actually think they did a fab job with this, and it has done exactly what they aimed for it to do. Well done to Chanel. It is a more subtle version of the original. I think, though, the only thing that may be a downside to it, I don't know, this doesn't bother me hugely, but it definitely doesn't last quite as long on the skin as the original. I think the original actually has great longevity, whereas this, I don't feel like it does that quite so much. But I actually don't mind that. I quite like to kind of refresh myself with perfume, so I don't mind respraying perfumes. Which actually is normally why I go for the smaller bottle sizes, because I can just put them in my handbag, which may seem a bit weird to carry around like a full-size perfume in your bag, but I do like to re-spritz myself with perfume throughout the day, so I don't mind that. But if that is something that bothers you, then maybe I would possibly recommend going for the original No. 5 instead. But I am really pleased with this one. It kind of means I'm happier to wear the No. 5 fragrance, so very pleased with that one. So I feel like I had to include a Jo Malone choice because I love Jo Malone as a brand, and the one I've picked is Blackberry Bay. Now, I have actually purchased this quite recently, and it literally was one that I completely ignored for ages. Don't know why, I just didn't think it would appeal to me. But then I had a sniff of it in the store, and I really, really love it. So the notes in this fragrance are, as you would expect, blackberry, bay leaves and cedarwood. It definitely has that slightly tart aspect to it, but it is still quite refreshing. A perfect summer daytime fragrance again. The only thing that I would say about this, and is something that I have found with a lot of Jo Malone fragrances, apart from the ones that come in the black bottles, which were the sort of more intense ones, they don't last very long on your skin, which is why I love to get these size bottles, because these are great handbag size bottles. But these probably have the shortest longevity on the skin of any other fragrance I own. In my opinion, they really don't last very long on the skin, but they are such beautiful fragrances that I feel willing to overlook that because I really enjoy wearing them. They're just so pretty. Again, this is a very different fragrance. I don't have anything else like this in my collection. What I did find actually was the way that this did last a bit longer was I actually received, I think it was a sample of the Blackberry Bay shower gel or body wash, and when I used that and then used this as well, I did find that it definitely lasted much, much longer on the skin. So that's something to consider maybe if you're looking down the Jo Malone route. Obviously that makes things a lot more expensive, but I did find that that did make the scent last much longer on the skin. I also have this scent in the candle because I like it that much, and this really is a lovely scent. If you go into Jo Malone, definitely give it a try. My final perfume choice in my top 10 fragrance picks is Viktor and Rolf Flowerbomb, and I believe this is the extreme version because, as you can see, it's not in the original bottle, it's in the much darker purple bottle. Now, the notes in this are, the top notes are bergamot and tea, the heart notes are osmanthus, jasmine, freesia, orchid, rose and orange blossom, and the base notes are amber, musk, patchouli and vanilla. Now, funnily enough, with this fragrance, I wasn't that keen on the original Flowerbomb. It was just slightly too sweet for my taste. This one, though it is still a little sweet, it's also slightly more spicy, more intense, and just a little bit more grown up than the original Flowerbomb. I just much prefer this version of it. It still has that floral element, obviously, it's called Flowerbomb, and the notes prove that it has many a floral note in it. But I think this is actually a very wearable floral. It's not too floral because I think of the spicy element. So if you're not into floral fragrances, don't shy away from this one because I think this is a really wearable floral. Again, I think because it is slightly more intense, it's a lovely evening scent, and actually I have worn this quite a lot if I'm going out because it's a great going out fragrance, and actually it really does last pretty well on the skin. So this is definitely one that I reach for if I'm going out for an evening do, and I do reach for this often. So that's it. Those are my top 10 fragrance choices that I currently own in my collection. I really hope that you guys enjoyed my video. Let me know what your favourite fragrances are in the comments section. I'd love to know. I'm always kind of on the hunt for new fragrances. Like I said before, there are a couple of fragrances from my old collection that I would definitely have included in this collection because they're ones that I still love, but I wanted to put different ones in, and that is Chanel Coco Mademoiselle. That's definitely still one of my favourite fragrances. And then there's a Stella McCartney Stella perfume that I also absolutely love, and every time I wear it people ask what it is. It's a standard perfume that I always have to have in my collection. Adore it. So definitely let me know the fragrances that you love to wear. Like I said, I'll be really interested to hear what your favourites are. Thank you so much for watching my video. Please give me a very happy thumbs up if you enjoyed it, and don't forget to subscribe if you haven't done so already. Thanks again so much for watching, and I will see you again very soon in my next video. Take care guys. Bye.